So, Smash is pretty cool, right? Massive crossover of some of gaming's most iconic characters and also Karin. It brings together many characters who would never cross paths otherwise. And that's the thing. If it weren't for Smash, you would never see some of these characters on screen together in an official game. None of this is canon. Now, obviously, that's fine. I don't think anyone comes to Smash for the lore. They come to watch Kirby kill Sephiroth. But what if I were to tell you that despite the fact that Smash isn't canon to any of these series, all of them, except for one, are still connected to each other, taking place in some kind of shared multiverse. You see, while crossover games like Smash are almost never canonical to the series represented in them, many regular games feature cameos from various other games. Whether it be Link in Soul Calibur 2, Chun-Li in Breath of Fire, or Rainbow Road in F-Zero X, video games cross over with each other a lot more than you might think. And while crossover games are non-canonical, these guest appearances are a lot more up in the air, with some of them just straight up being confirmed to be canon. Which got me thinking, by using this method of connecting series together, would it be possible to connect all the series represented in Smash together? And after some research, I can confirm that with the exception of one series, you most definitely can. But before we can begin, 2 rules. 1. I'm only going to be going over the series represented on Smash Ultimate's playable roster. Why? Because if I was including everything else, then I'd be talking about over 100 different series. Maybe I'll cover those games in the future, but not now. And 2, in order to count as a link, both series need to have either a character, location, or key item from one appear in the other. So stuff like costumes or just references don't count. With that all out of the way, let's begin. First up, Mario and Donkey Kong are obviously linked. Mario debuted in the original Donkey Kong, and since then, both of the title characters have continued to appear in each other's games. And while we're on the topic of Mario, the Yoshi and Wario series are obviously connected, as their title characters debuted in Mario games, and have continued to show up in spin-offs and the like. Next up is The Legend of Zelda. Despite the fact that Zelda isn't officially in the same universe as Mario, it's had many crossovers with it. Link himself appears in Super Mario RPG, Mario Kart 8, and Donkey Kong Country 2, the Running Man from Ocarina of Time appears in Super Mario Sunshine, and various Mario enemies appear in Link's Awakening and Minish Cap, with Chain Chomps appearing in A Link to the Past. There's even more links I could go over here, but you get the idea. As mentioned before, Link was in Mario RPG, but he wasn't the only one to wander into that game, as Samus from Metroid also appears, with her ship appearing in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Speaking of Samus, she along with the Metroids also appeared in Kirby's Dream Land 3, and speaking of Kirby, Mr. Saturn from the Mother/Earthbound series appears as an item in Kirby Superstar. Moving from 2 series set in space to 2 others, in Star Fox Command, Octoman from F-Zero GX appears as a boss, and in F-Zero X, Rainbow Road from the Mario Kart series is a track that you can race on. Mario Kart 8 also features 2 F-Zero tracks, cementing the link. And with that, we've covered every series in Smash 64 that isn't Pokemon, because this one was hard. Despite how big it is, Pokemon has had barely any crossovers. But I did find one. The spin-off game Pokemon Conquest features Nobunaga. Who's that? Well, he was a real guy, but the Nobunaga who appears in this game is the fictionalized version of him from Samurai Warriors. Both this series and Pokemon Conquest were made by the same developer. Another character from that series, Narutora Lee, was a playable character in Dead or Alive 5, and in Dead or Alive Dimensions, there's a stage taken from Metroid Other M, with Samus and Ridley making appearances in the background. So through Samurai Warriors and Dead or Alive, we can connect Pokemon to Metroid, and thus every other series mentioned already. Fire Emblem was another tricky one, as it also hasn't had a lot of crossovers. Marth was in Codename Steam, but that doesn't really link to anything else. However, his Sword the Falchion does appear in Kirby Superstar as an item just like Mr. Saturn. The Ice Climbers appear in Tetris DS alongside other retro icons like Mario and Samus. And as established in a previous video, Tetris has lore, so this counts. Modern remakes of Game & Watch games feature Mario elements and characters, and if you want to count them, there were also Game & Watch games based on Mario, Donkey Kong, and Zelda. Pit from the Kid Icarus series appears in the NES version of Tetris, as well as F1 Race, both of which feature various other Nintendo characters such as Mario. And Mario actually crosses over with a lot more of Nintendo's franchises. Pikmin appear in Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, Rob appears as a playable character in Mario Kart DS, the player character from Animal Crossing, Isabelle, and the Inklings from Splatoon are all playable in Mario Kart 8, Mario and Donkey Kong have both shown up in the Punch-Out series, and the Miis appear in various different Mario games. Obviously, Miis also appear in Wii Fit, bringing over the entire Wii series, and to further cement the link, Woohoo Island from Wii Sports Resort is a track in Mario Kart 7. Also, speaking of the Wii series, the ducks from Duck Hunt appear in Wii Play. Time to get weird again. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 features Cosmos from Xenosaga. In Xenosaga Episode 1, the player can receive an email from fucking Kazuya Mishima from Tekken, talking about how he won the battle against his son Jin, and how he expected him to be a better opponent, referencing the events of Tekken 4. Xenosaga and Tekken are both owned by Bandai Namco, so this is an official crossover. Daihachi, another character from Tekken, was also a playable character in Pac-Man Fever for some reason, and Pac-Man was a playable character in the Mario Kart GP games, meaning that through Xenosaga, Tekken, and Pac-Man, Xenoblade connects back to Mario. And those last 2 series are on Smash's roster as well, so we can take those off. So, okay, you can connect all of the Nintendo series together, but that kinda makes sense. Nintendo owns all those franchises, so linking them together shouldn't be too difficult. But what about the third-party ones? Well, we've already gone over Pac-Man and Tekken, but as for the others, in a bonus mode for Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake is tasked with capturing the monkeys from Ape Escape, and in Ape Escape 3, there's a bonus mode based on Metal Gear where Solid Snake appears.
What are you going to do now? Is that right? Well, I guess that's the way it goes. We'll probably meet again somewhere.
I gotta play this someday. An Ape Escape monkey appears in Everybody's Golf, a series quite infamous for its guest characters, whether it be Gex, Cosmic Kiryu, or Pac-Man, connecting Metal Gear to this bizarre web of crossovers. Snake doesn't like Sonic, and in Sonic Lost World, the Hedgehog visits Yoshi's Island as well as Hyrule. Despite how much Capcom loves to cross over their franchises, Mega Man was tricky to link, as all the Mega Man cameos I could find were either just references or didn't go anywhere. That was until I stumbled on the fact that in Mega Man 9, Chun-Li from Street Fighter cameos as a news reporter. Another Street Fighter character, Akuma, is playable in Tekken 7 and even plays a somewhat major role in the game's story, so that's our link. Final Fantasy can be connected in a whole bunch of different ways. Final Fantasy characters are playable in Mario Sports Mix alongside a slime from Dragon Quest, you can get a Chocobo in Everybody's Golf, and Noctis is playable in Tekken 7. Obviously Cloud and Sephiroth were in Kingdom Hearts as boss fights, and Sora was in World of Final Fantasy, so we can connect that series as well. You can use a chain chomp from Mario as a weapon in Bayonetta 2. I thought that maybe this was just a ball and chain that just so happens to look like a chain chomp, but no. Its in-game description reads, "Curious creature Rodin encountered while travelling through the ancient capital of Japan. Unable to get close to it due to its penchant for biting everything that it comes into contact with, Rodin waited until it was sleeping, then dragged it away, chain and all." So yeah, this thing is alive, meaning that we can safely say that this is a link to the Mario series. Simon Belmont is a playable character in Evolution Skateboarding alongside Solid Snake. Banjo is playable in Diddy Kong Racing, and Geese Howard from Fatal Fury is also a guest character in Tekken 7. The Persona series features many demons from Shin Megami Tensei, and SMT3 Nocturne features Dante from the Devil May Cry series. Dante was also in the PS2 version of Beautiful Joe, and in the GameCube version of that game, Rob the Robot makes a cameo appearance. So through SMT, DMC, and Beautiful Joe, we can connect Persona. And finally, Minecraft. Steve is an unlockable character in Super Meat Boy alongside Commander Video from the Bit Trip/Runner series, and in Runner 3 you can play as Shovel Knight. In the PS4 version of Shovel Knight, Kratos from the God of War series appears as a boss, which, according to the God of War director, is considered canon to the God of War lore, which has implications. Anyway, what matters about all of this is that Kratos is a guest character in Everybody's Golf, which ties Minecraft to the rest of these other series. Now you might have noticed that one series isn't accounted for, ARMS. And that's because ARMS has no crossovers outside of Smash. And I don't mean that, oh, it does have some, but they don't count. No, ARMS literally has no crossovers outside of Smash. I thought that there would at least be some promo art or something, but there's literally nothing. And that's why I prefaced earlier that you could connect every series except for one, because ARMS is the one outlier. I don't know, maybe one day they'll put Springman in Mario Kart or something, but until then, every series with a playable character in Smash is connected, except for ARMS.